We'd also like to acknowledge that Studio Ting exists on the soil and land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Jessamy, for the intro. Jessamy was telling us how the intro feels like a billion minutes long, but she always does such a great job, and she's such a high energy person. We really love Jessamy. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us, everyone. Thanks for coming. My mum and dad are in the audience, which is really exciting.
And my mum.
Yay. So this is our journey setting out to launch a creative studio during a global pandemic. This is also the journey of our creativity and how having abundant time and space gave us the freedom to identify the things that we really want, release ourselves from what a studio should look and feel like, and in the process uncover what we believe is a better way of doing things, setting ourselves up to do our best work and live the lives that we want and get the things that we want. So the beginning is the end of 2019, and Carissa and I are at really different stages of our art making career. At the end of 2019, I'd been a custom furniture maker, builder, doer for about 4 or 5 years by then, and I'd sort of come to terms with doing that and learning the skills involved. And I'd also have an art practice on the side. I think a lot of the people that know me actually for my art more than my furniture making, which is I'm really grateful for. That's really cool. So I just had a solo exhibition, which felt like just before that, but it was, over a year before that because time. And I felt like I was in a position where everything was sort of moving to the next stage. It was like, okay, well, how do I take the next step here and follow through on bigger ideas? Thinking more in terms of like, what's the next step as a big boy business guy? And it meant signing a commercial lease. At the end of 2019, I signed a bloody commercial lease, which is, in hindsight, holy shit. But yeah.
And then, so at the same time, I'm about a year and a half into my professional painting practice. So I had recently signed a contract for representation with St. Cloche Gallery in Sydney. So I was just in the stage of having my first kind of commercial gallery commitments, balancing having this really, strong creative body of work in my paintings, and also then having this new commercial overlay. So we both sort of had some questions about where our creativity was going and how we were shaping it.
What was interesting is when we got into the fit out of when I got into the fit out of what was then just a workshop, it was really just like a bigger version of my garage workshop that I had. I started the workshop fit out and then trying to balance work going out the door, and also I think just this general feeling that like it didn't feel as right as I thought it would, being in that new big space, which was really exciting. But I think with the sort of just the overload of what was going on, I think I scaled in a direction that was just not feasible too quickly. And it was like, oh shit, am I making the right choice here? One of the things that where we were at with our creativity was that bits of Carissa's creative process I really actually adored. The fact that she had bigger, more thoughtful, curated shows, like a whole body of work, was something that I was really envious of, being in the custom shop game, because you're constantly at the whims of not just the client, but like the parameters that govern custom work as a whole. So anyone who works as like a service-based creative industry will understand that the parameters for your creativity, do what you want, but do it within the parameters that we need: the budget, the time, the color palette, the topography. Can we just move this a fraction over to the left, and all that sort of stuff? It's like, yeah, I get to do whatever I want, but man, some of Carissa's work, the freedom inside of it that you can see coming off the canvas really, really spoke to me.
And we would talk about this because what I saw from somebody like Mikey, who had a couple of different avenues for creativity, me being someone who has always been creative in different ways, I had a desire to experiment differently to try different creative things. So, but we're both at this point focused on what each of us is doing. We're just getting the work done, and we know that, that we've got these other things, but our attention is really just pulled into the work that we're each doing.
And then, of course, like everyone knows, COVID hits and there's just nothing.
We have time, we have space, and it all just stops.
So, like I'm sure everyone understands here, the time away from the work is nice as a reprieve from the monotony or the drudgery or the routine. Even if you do something you love, doing something different is rad. And then that goes away really quickly. And then you're left to confront all these horrible, torturous feelings of like, oh shit, like, am I doing the right thing now? Now that there's time and space, but also still financial pressure coming out of the door, am I doing the right thing? And it led me to question, like, with this custom shop work, the longevity involved in it, nuts and bolts from a business perspective, is it means I have to be on the tools indefinitely until I stop. And although I love being on the tools, I wanted to do more. So these are the discussions that we start to have. We start to confront that thing inside of us that's like, hey, let's bite off a bit more than we can chew here.
We start to have, really creative discussions about, all these things that we kind of touched on, but we have the time to get more into them. We're home all the time. So then the conversations become gradually, more electrifying, more energetic and more positive. And we start to think, okay, we've got...
Once we got through all like the hard ones, right? Like the tough conversations that make you feel like you don't have anything to offer.
Not on top of the world. So then we start thinking, okay, and what else do we want outside of work? What do we want for us? What do we want for the rest of our lives? How do we take how we're creative and all the different things we want to do and the way that our lives look, and how do we put that together in a way that makes us feel good and that addresses some of these concerns we've been having, or some of these things that are really inside of us. And
we start thinking, nuts and bolts, like Carissa said, how do we actually do it? We've got all these wonderful ideas of what we want to do. We think that start a studio is a really good one.
Go, okay.
Maybe in hindsight, in lieu of actually having a really good plan. Studio seems like a container for like, hey, you can just do whatever you want and goof off, and that's cool.
It's like start a studio. Okay, well, what is that? I don't know. Sounds good. So what's a studio? And we start to have these conversations about that. Okay, what actually is that? Is this a container for everything we want to do? So we start looking at studios that we really love, that are making work we really admire, and this is across all industries that are interesting to us. So we look at, interiors, graphic design, art, ceramics, just every type of furniture,
painting, leather workers, people who make content on YouTube, people who design websites. It's an all-encompassing thing. And it stimulates that feeling in us that it's like, we have so much that we want to do. Seeing all these people do it is an interesting feeling, because it's like there's a reason separate people are all doing these separate things, but like I just want to do it all. So then
slowly these conversations start to change and the questions change, and we this doubt starts to creep in where we think, okay, why are we not seeing what we want to create? We're not really seeing anything that ticks off all the stuff we've been talking about and this big vision we have. We're not seeing it, and we think, okay, more doubt builds. Should we be doing this? Can we do this?
Yeah. Do we physically have like the skill set needed to be able to do this? Do we have the business sense to be able to pull something like this off? Is the offering that we want to give even commercially viable? Are we shooting ourselves in the foot by being maybe a bit vague in people's eyes? This is something that I really struggled with when trying to find management for my arts practice, is that people are like, it's a bit confusing that you do all these things. Maybe we'd like to manage this part of what you do. But it's like, I don't want the segmentation of our creativity to sort of, we can only put things here, or we can only do it this way. And then it's, they start to turn into like mental conversations about like, oh, maybe we should change our offering, but also like, if I do furniture, because I always feel like a bit of a pretender in the furniture realm, because I didn't really go to school to do it. if we're making furniture, is that something that's serious enough to stack up alongside of the big boys in Melbourne and Australia and internationally? Is that, you know, we both have like limited experience in doing interiors based stuff.
Yeah, but here we were about to bite into a big chunk of all this stuff that we're starting to feel like, are we really just getting into something here that is so not where we should be? And doing what, you know, going back to the safe place that we are always taught, which is that you should specialize and find the thing you're good at and really chase that one thing down. And the thing that always didn't really feel right to us, which was, no, we know there's more, we want these bigger things, but then that's really hard of an energy to maintain when we're just not seeing it.
I think it's that age-old question for all creatives, or for people who have that sort of brain, where it's the world wants you to specialize. The world wants you to do the thing or find the thing that you want to do. And as a creative, that's rad when you find that thing. When you don't have something you want to say, when I say the thing, I mean, I think people know what I mean. When you don't have it, you're searching for it, and it's fucking anguish as a creative. And then when you have it, you just want to like hold on to it and just smother it and just monetize it and turn a side hustle into a job. Get out the door and like just fucking slam it in people's face and show it to people. And then I think that there's this fear that it's like, this is going to leave. Yeah. This feeling, or this like, this is fleeting and I don't deserve this as a creative. Well, what am I doing? I'm out of control. So all these feelings are just like, it's going all these places. And then we sort of just get to a point where we just think, why can't we do all these things?
Why can't this look the way that we want it to look? Just because we're not seeing something that looks like it, that's the point. The point is that we're searching for something that doesn't exist. We want to carve out a space for us that is our own space. You know, why can't we make it whatever we want and call it a studio? We get to do those things.
And there will be people that will be confused about the offering. That's fine. That's human nature. But I think there'll be a small pocket of people, or hopefully a big pocket of people, like a huge pocket, like a front pocket of like people that really love it and get involved and like they want to see more of it.
Yeah. So then, you know, the beautiful thing here was that then the energy turned back around again, and we got that energy back of, you know, how big and creative and incredible this could be. And we just thought, all right, well, if we're going to chuck the whole thing out and make our version of a studio, we just build this from the ground up. We build everything we need into its DNA.
We'd already identified all the things that we want. Just like a couple, and then, you know, in the future, like a family.
Yeah, out of our lives.
Professionally, creatively, we've already identified all the things that are important to us. We can build these in to the fabric of the business, the studio, because we're now back full circle. We're set on releasing a studio. We can build it into the fabric of the studio, and from day dot, we can have these front and center. And do the opposite of what I think capitalist ideology really forces us to do as humans, which is sell the thing, get it to market, and then deal with the ramifications of growing a business exponentially. And I think that a lot of people do lose their way there, where it's like, well, fuck, we've got like a lead time now of 6 to 12 weeks. I've got to bring 3 people on to help us do it. I've got to get a mailing center. I've got to get someone to do socials. I've got to get an admin staff. I've got to, you know, and you're constantly backpedaling, and it's like, how do I infuse my love for the business into all these new people that are here? You know, I think that from doing it from day dot, from really having the chance, the space because of COVID, to be able to identify the things that are really important to us, we can take a stand and we can say what we have is really special and unique because of those reasons, because we have something different to offer.
Once we did this, once we got to this place and just started really getting into, okay, well, how does this just be our thing, and how do we set this whole thing up to support us, support our lives and our creativity? And then something really interesting happened at that point and became really clear.
We're ideas people. It's ideas. It's the ideas that we have as a team and personally. It's the ideas that drive the studio. Yeah. And make it really fresh and fun.
And motivate us. We are motivated by great, exciting, big ideas.
Yeah, and make it vibrant and unique, and make it a good, like, viable business offering. That's really important. It's the ideas which really are the key to our future successes. So I think that what's interesting is we go back to what's still a grimy, dusty workshop that I don't really like to be in.
Yeah, so we've got this, we get to this point, we worked out what it is, we're excited again, and we know, okay, this is about the idea and creating a place that supports our ideas and that is a physical embodiment of this energy and these ideas we want to create there.
So let's make it look the way that we feel like,
let's take this workshop, or we currently have that looks and operates like a workshop, and just rebuild the whole thing.
So we painted the floor in the photo. We painted the floor yellow, but it's actually changed again,
which
is really hilarious because we change our lines so often.
Yeah.
Now the floor is blue, and the walls are made out of reclaimed timber, and we've got like big orange bifold cathedral doors, and everything's hand painted, and there's murals on the wall, and it's like really an expression of the inside of our brains.
And then so we also made it physically so that everything is modular. So the actual kind of workshop space, everything is on casters, everything can be moved around and reconfigured. So essentially we can take that space that exists and we can change it based on any ideas that we might have, and ideas that we don't even know exist yet, but the space can do it and is capable of it. We put a room in the back specifically that we could sit in and we could talk through ideas and feel really inspired and get collaborators in and have people in the space.
And people come into the space, and we've had a few people in there in its current iteration, and they look at the walls, and it's like, I think that you can really pick up on a vibe instantly when something looks exactly how we want it to look.
Yeah.
That's really rad.
So and then in kind of rebuilding the way the studio physically looked, we also took that moment to just re-examine our whole inbuilt attitude towards work and the work week and working life. And we thought, no, let's take this a step further and make sure that everything about the business supports the generation of ideas, which for us is that our ideas happen when we feel good, when we're happy, when our whole lives feel like everything is just working with us.
And pragmatically, from a business sense, this is our IP, our ability to ideate, come up with ideas. That's our IP. So why wouldn't we, from the get-go, really create an environment like a petri dish where ideas they can just populate.
And that the studio has inbuilt flexibility so that we can follow ideas down to wherever that idea is going to go, and safe in the knowledge that we can curate an environment where ideas can just continue to come to us, and we can really let an idea springboard off another. So it's okay if one idea doesn't work out, if that idea goes to its natural conclusion, because we're not curating a space where we're afraid of creativity running out. We're creating a space that is in direct support of creativity.
I think that's a really important point with creativity in general, is that as creatives, we have to have courage. We have to be brave to be able to follow ideas, good ideas, to wherever they need to go. And I think that the best creatives that we know are the ones that doggedly hunt down where they need to go. And in building the workshop in a modular sense, like, we have lots of different skills and assets and talents that we can offer, which makes it fun and rad to go after an idea. But if it goes to a place that's uncomfortable, which a lot of good ideas do, they go to places which are really challenging. How best can we go after them? And I think that by having this front and center, I think we're really being an authentic version of ourselves, and I think we're putting our best foot forward, and sort of honoring that feeling, which is like, yeah, this is going to get sticky sometimes. It's not always going to be like, fuck yeah, just bang, get it out the door. Here's a good idea. Just like pow, 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 pow. Sometimes they're really hard. And what's cool about the studio is we talked about the collaboration. We can just bring people in that do have the know-how and the skills, or want to add to that narrative, or feel pumped about an idea. That's rad. We can go there together. That's cool. What this does too is that there's an inbuilt longevity into this, not just the studio, but our creativity practice as a whole. Right?
Yeah.
There's this whole change in dynamic when we have trust in our feelings. We can very quickly determine if an idea is good or if it's bad, or if a prototype comes back and it just has sort of, maybe it's lost that feeling, that really cool nugget of the idea that it had originally, we can be really ruthless about like, let's take it back and not be disheartened, because iteration upon iteration in the furniture design game or in any design game, it's really easy, to quickly lose like that sort of that cool thing that it had originally.
And that longevity spreads then into this business being able to take us through the next phase of our life, through the next 3-4 phases of our lives, because it's open to changing and because it leaves space for our lives to change, it leaves space for our creativity to change. So the longevity and flexibility for ideas and for the way our lives are structured is really at the heart of the studio.
And also like a change in dynamics we were talking about, for creatives, that feeling of like, you don't know if you're going to have any more good ideas. I think that is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't think you're going to have any more good ideas, you aren't. You want, maybe you will in the future. I don't know when, but like it might be a bit of a time. So by putting the ideas first for our studio and making this a really like incubating ideas factory, I think there's a real change in dynamic where it's like, this is not going to be my last good idea. This is not my best idea. It's a really good idea. And I've got more in the tank. So if something doesn't work, hey, we'll go to the next thing. Or if something's not quite right, let's change it until we really honor that feeling that like, yeah, this is the idea. Well, this is the thing that I wanted to capture. And there's a freedom knowing that like, there's more down the track.
Yeah. So now we have it. We have a studio, and we know what that is.
And no one can come. No one can visit.
And you're not allowed to come because the government won't let you.
But it's really cool. You'll have to trust us. It looks rad and the floor's blue and it's just the best.
And we swear it exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have it, and we have this space to collaborate and to have conversations and make art and make friends. And we have a studio that's flexible enough to follow ideas to places that we don't even know where they're going yet.
We've figured out the best way to get all the things that we want. Freedom outside of the business to live our lives and achieve our goals. Freedom within the business to make our best work. A studio space that harbors and nurtures good ideas, that invests in and promotes good ideas. A fun, vibrant, energy-led, fucking rad space that feels amazing to be creative in.
So by releasing ourselves from the conventions of what a typical studio should look like and should feel like, and by not being afraid to do things a little bit differently, we put the ideas first. And when we put the ideas first, we really are just putting ourselves first. And when we do that, we set ourselves up to deliver our very best work.
Thank you.
Thank you.